Hi students, I'm Dr. Bhavna. In this lecture, we are going to continue with the same topic that is called as ecosystem. So in the ecosystem, in the last class, what we have seen. So in the last class, we have usually talked about what are the types of ecosystem and what are the basically components of the ecosystem. So already in the last class also, I have revised multiple times regarding that. So we will directly go to what are the components of the ecosystems. So in the components of ecosystem, basically, what we have seen in the components, there are usually four components. That is nothing but productivity, decomposition, energy flow, and then the nutrient cycling, which plays. So in these four things, we have discussed about the productivity. So in the productivity and decomposition, we have started. In the productivity, basically, we have seen, I'm just revising, so you should clearly understand. So in the productivity, basically, there are usually two types. That is primary productivity and secondary productivity. When it comes to primary productivity, it is contributing it as like the energy, that is the amount of biomass that is produced by the plants during the photosynthesis is primary productivity. Then when you come to secondary productivity, it is like the amount of biomass that is produced by the consumers, amount of biomass or the organic matter that is produced. See, productivity means only amount of biomass that is produced by plants. So here primary means by plants. Primary, remember, like it is by plants that is produced during photosynthesis. When you come to secondary, secondary means you should clearly understand. Like it is produced by that of consumers. So primary productivity and secondary productivity. In primary productivity, again it is divided into gross primary productivity, net primary productivity. When you come to gross primary productivity, gross, so the amount of biomass that is produced by the plants during photosynthesis is gross primary. Same you will write it as of that of primary productivity only. So this is about the gross primary. Net primary means what I have told you, minus the respiration losses which the plants are taking during photosynthesis. So GPP minus respiration losses equal to net primary productivity by plants, by consumers. Then GPP, NPP. GPP minus R is equal to NPP. Like that you can clearly understand, minus the respiration losses means, because this formula numerous times in Neet it was asked. Every alternative year they'll ask. Like they'll ask you, like they'll think like they may change like this. See, gross primary productivity equal to net primary productivity plus the respiration losses, plus, because you're changing here the terms, but everyone will think like GPP minus R equal to MPP. Here in the GPP equal to NPP plus R, so you're shifting here. So they'll want to confuse you in neat bits, so they'll give you like this. So I want you to clearly understand regarding this. GPP minus R equal to NPP equal to NPP plus R. They'll be changing the terms. So net primary productivity is equal to gross primary productivity minus the respiration losses. This is about the concept of productivity. So next, the another term which comes is you're starting with the decomposition process. Already I have given a brief introduction regarding that. So when we have discussed about the decomposition process, first what we have seen, numerous organic molecules are converted into inorganic molecules, right? I'll tell you. Under the decomposition process, organic molecules are converted into inorganic molecules. Organic into inorganic molecules. So it is the breakdown, not simply they are converting. It is the breakdown of organic into inorganic molecules. So this will follow the process of decomposition. So you all may think, what are the waste products which are associated with that of decomposition? That is nothing but the detritus. Detritus. Detritus means what? All the dead and decayed matter which is present, the dead and decayed leaves and flowers, everything will contribute to that of detritus. So they are broken down into smaller particles, and this is contributing to all the dead, decayed leaves and flowers. Then next, when we are continuing with that of decomposition, I already told you there are 5 steps. That is nothing but fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification, and then mineralization. I want you to remember it in an order, because in the fragmentation means by name only you can see like they're broken down into smaller particles. All the detritus, that is the dead and decayed leaves, they're broken down into smaller particles. So the detritus is broken down into smaller particles in fragmentation. Detritus into small particles. In the leaching process, all the inorganic content is formed, right? From the organic to inorganic is only like decomposition. So the inorganic constituents which are formed, they are moving down into the soil and they are getting precipitated as unavailable salts. So this concept of going and getting precipitated as unavailable salts is leaching. Then next is catabolism. Here, in the process of catabolism, the bacterial and fungal enzymes will act. Bacterial and fungal enzymes are acting in the process of catabolism. When these bacterial and fungal enzymes are acting, they are again forming the inorganic constituents, not the organic constituents. They are forming the inorganic constituents because in the process of decomposition only, all the inorganic is all the organic is converted into inorganic. So the product which is formed is also the inorganic content only. So the catabolism means, you should remember, bacterial and fungal enzymes will act here and they form the inorganic constituents. What is humidification process? In the process of humidification, the dark colored amorphous substance called humus is formed. Dark colored humus is formed. Amorphous substance. It is also the dead and decayed substance which is present. So this is the related to that of humidification. Then next, mineralization. Mineralization means what? All the humus which is formed, again it is degraded by minerals into smaller and smaller particles. Humus is degraded in this step of mineralization. So I want you to clearly write down the 5 important points that are related to that of decomposition. Because first, if you write in Neet level or if you write in the intermediate level also, everything they'll give you like in a sequence. First, what is the definition of decomposition you should write. Then later, you should continue with what is detritus and how it is formed. Then later, what are the 5 steps which are associated with decomposition. And about each first 5 steps you should mention: fragmentation, leaching, catabolism, humidification and mineralization. After that, you should continue with that each point related to each thing, like fragmentation means all the detritus, all the waste material which is present is broken down into smaller particles. That is about that. Next, in Neet level, they will ask what is leaching, or else they'll give you the definition. Like in the leaching, the soluble, because every alternative here they'll ask, like the soluble inorganic are getting precipitated as unavailable salts. So when they're getting precipitated as unavailable salts, and they'll give you options like leaching, catabolism, humidification, mineralization, like that. Anything you see the word like getting precipitated as unavailable salts, or if you see the word like they are getting into the soil, they're going down into the soil, anything you see, it is leaching only. Then remember one simple point about catabolism is nothing but bacterial and fungal enzymes will act there. Only that point you should remember, bacterial and fungal enzymes. If you see the word like enzymes are acting in decomposition process means that step will come it under as catabolism only. Then next it is humidification and mineralization. When you come to humidification, same by the name only you can understand here in the humidification process. What is humus? Humus is formed, like humus means a dark colored amorphous substance which is present. Means the dead and decayed, like how detritus is present, like that only same humus also. But it is brown in color. Both are decayed. Like that you should clearly differentiate between the detritus as well as the humus. So humidification is like the dark colored amorphous substance called as humus which is formed. Then later when you come to that of mineralization process, mineralization, it is nothing but again this humus. And here you should remember in humidification process, numerous bacterial and fungal enzymes will act on this humus also. All the that's why only know the material is getting degraded. So the humus is also on the humus, the enzymes will act. Then next when you come to the process of mineralization, again the humus is getting broken down by the minerals which are present, and these steps will come under mineralization. So I think you all are clear about this topic of five different subheadings regarding this. Fragmentation, breaking down. Leaching means only remember about the unavailable salts which are present or getting precipitated. Catabolism means bacterial and fungal enzymes are acting here. Humidification means humus is present. Mineralization means you can see like the humus is getting degraded by the minerals. Everything of zoology is like you can remember by the names only which you see. So these are the five steps which are associated with that of decomposition process. Then how is the decomposition like favored from one place to like other? Like when you see the concept of decomposition is everywhere the decomposition process playing an important role means, like you can say no, because for the process of decomposition it is an oxygen requiring process. Oxygen requiring process. And the organisms are called as detrivores, I told you. Like earthworms are also called as detrivores. I have specified for you like earthworms because they make the soil fertile and all, and they play an important role in vermicomposting. So in the process of like decomposition, oxygen is very much required in this process, and the decomposition may be slower or faster, and it requires a warm and moist environment. Means the environment should be very humid. That time only this process of decomposition will take place. Otherwise, if it is very like you see very anaerobic conditions, like if oxygen is very low in that areas, then decomposition will not take place. So for the process of decomposition to take place, warm and moist environment is needed. So warm and moist environment. Numerous times in Neet it was asked, like what is the and how what environment is like needed for the decomposition process to take place. So warm and moist environment is needed to take place in that of decomposition, and the decomposition process also may vary, like it may be slower or faster. When it becomes slower, it becomes slower in the presence of lignin or chitin. These are the two substances. When this lignin or chitin are present in the soil, then this process will take place very slower, the decomposition process. Next, when it will take place faster. For slower, there are like substances when it will take place slower and faster. Like that here also, when it will take place faster also is very important. In the presence of nitrogen as well as sugars, this process will decomposition process will take place faster. In the presence of nitrogen and sugars. When it will take place slower is during the lignin and chitin. So this is an important point in Neet. They'll ask you like when it is taking place, like during the presence of what substances this decomposition is taking place faster. Means you can say like nitrogen as well as sugars. During this process it is taking place very faster, and during the presence of substances like lignin and chitin, it is taking place very slower. And also the warm and moist environment is required for the process to take place, and this is the oxygen requiring process. So when anywhere, wherever you take oxygen is very much required, means you say it as aerobic conditions. Aerobic. Under aerobic conditions, decomposition will takes place very perfectly. During like anaerobic conditions, this decomposition will not take place. So this, by this we have completed the second component of the ecosystem. First component is about the productivity, which we have discussed, like net and gross and everything we have seen about that. Then later we have seen about the decomposition process and how it is taking place. What are the 5 steps? I told you an easy way to remember what are the 5 steps that are related to this, and then we are continuing with the environment, like the when what are the suitable conditions for the process of decomposition. So this is about the decomposition. Then next we are going with the third component of the ecosystem, that is nothing but the energy flow. So the third is energy flow. During this energy flow, first we have to understand that what is the primary source for all of us or for the plants. What is the primary source? How is this possible? How are plants able to prepare their own food? That is only by the process of solar radiation. That is by sunlight the plants are able to prepare their own food. As we all know that plants are autotrophs, means they can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis. So for all this to happen, the sunlight is very much essential for us. So the about less than 50%, I want you to clearly stress on the word like less than 50% of the incident solar radiation, less than 50% of the incident solar radiation is called as PAR. PAR. PAR means what? Photosynthetically active radiation which is taking place. So, photosynthetically active radiation. First, we have started with the topic of energy flow, the third component of the ecosystem. Then, what is less than 50% of the incident solar radiation is nothing but PAR, photosynthetically active radiation, which is taking place. And then, regarding the PAR, only about 2 to 10% of the PAR is just reaching the plants. So the incident, normally less than 50% of the incident radiation is called as PAR, and how much it is reaching the plants is only like only 2 to 10%. Only 2 to 10% of the incident solar radiation or the incident power is reaching the plants. This is a numerical based question. How much of amount of power is emitted and how much it is received by the plants is nothing but the called as this power. How much is like only 2 to 10% is reaching the plants. So next, when we are going further into the energy flow, normally the energy is transferred from one trophic level to other trophic level. I'll use a term that is called as trophic levels. Trophic levels means just now in the last class we have discussed about the aquatic ecosystem. So how I have described about each of the organism, I have described like the first one is like phytoplanktons. They are called as primary producers. Then next is primary consumers, secondary consumers, and finally tertiary consumers. So these are the different levels which are taking place. So these each level we say it as one trophic level. We are specifying it as first trophic level, second trophic level and all. I'll just give you a flow chart regarding that so that you can easily understand how this all is taking place, how the energy is like transferred from one place to like from one area to other. So basically in the energy flow which is taking place, normally the first one like plants, I told you they are called as producers. So I'm giving examples here. These are plants. Then next, primary consumers. Because consumers are multiple types, we say it as primary, secondary, tertiary, like that we give names. So primary consumers. Next is secondary consumers. Third one is tertiary consumers. So producers means which using the sunlight, that is PAR, photosynthetically active radiation, they're utilizing and they're producing like photosynthesis is taking place and they're producing numerous amount of food, and this food only is consumed by each trophic level. I'll describe like now what are the examples which are given under each trophic level. So producers are plants. Then next, when you come to primary consumers, what are the primary consumers? Directly we humans, we don't go and eat plants. Like we will see like based on dependence. That is only here the disadvantage of the energy flow. Suppose we humans, we are eating the plants as well as we are eating the animals. We are considered under two trophic levels. That is only the disadvantage here which is coming. So we are not able to differentiate under which trophic level we will come. But for now, according to your Neet textbook, I want you all to remember producers are plants, and these plants are usually consumed by herbivores. Examples you say goat or cows and all, they will die. These will directly graze the plants, right? So they are called as primary consumers, herbivores. Then later, secondary consumers. Secondary consumers means those which will consume the herbivores. Like you can say numerous insects and all. Numerous. Suppose if you take it in an aquatic ecosystem, you can say it as fishes as well as whales and all. Whatever the bigger organisms which more you see, they are called as secondary consumers. Then the tertiary consumers are also called as carnivores. Carnivores means suppose we humans, we eat all the fleshy food. So we come under carnivores. So here under secondary consumers, we can say it as we can give examples like numerous things, and in tertiary consumers you can give as man and all. Here in secondary also you can fill like numerous insects, whales and all. See, in each trophic level, I want you to understand that in each trophic level, it is varying, like energy is getting transferred. This all is like the food chain which is passing from one trophic level to another trophic level, and this is all contributing to the food web which is present. Food web means what? When energy is getting transferred from one place to another, like from one trophic level to another, the energy is transferred, but the energy which is transferred remains the same here. Means there is no level differentiation between the each trophic level. Same amount of energy is getting transferred. So I want you to remember these producers basically will come under the first trophic level. First trophic level. Primary consumers will come under the second trophic level. Secondary consumers, third trophic level. And tertiary consumers is like fourth trophic level. So these are the four trophic levels which are taking place basically. So producers first trophic level, primary consumers second, secondary consumers third, and then because in numerous Neet questions like they will ask you first trophic level means you should remember it as producers only. Then second trophic level is again different. Third is like secondary consumers. Like that you should remember examples also related to this. The first one is like plants, then herbivores, then the higher organisms, more the bigger animals like insects and whales. Then the final one will come as man, human beings, which we are considered under the tertiary consumers, and we try to consume all types of these four trophic levels we will consume. So we are considered under the basically the tertiary consumers, but everyone will get confused like the first means the tertiary consumers will come under the third trophic level. No, the tertiary consumers will come under the fourth trophic level. Each trophic level will vary from one thing to other. So that is the important question that you should remember here. And there are again depicted in this is about the terrestrial ecosystems which I have told. Again it will change for the aquatic ecosystem also. Like in aquatic ecosystem, suppose it will vary like here zooplanktons will be present. Here phytoplanktons are present first for the plants. Then next is zooplanktons. Then later fishes and other bigger organisms like whales. So this all is depicted in grazing food chains and detritus food chains. These two food chains we should discuss. We will discuss in the next class about the two different types we will discuss, and we will see about how the energy is transferred from one organism to another. Okay, in the next class we will see about that.